the PhD position itself, where to look for, who to ask for. Okay. Next, what will get you the PhD? There are requirements, of course, but what is it actually that gets you a PhD? We'll touch upon that aspect. I'll also try to give some tips on how to write an effective CV. Then we'll take a look at what goes inside a motivation letter, how to make our motivation letter strong. And then I'll talk about a few things that I wish I had done when I was a master student. So that's basically the advice to the younger me. And yes, as they say, your right preparation will lead you to the right position. Please interrupt me if I am not audible or anything goes wrong, okay? And let's go to the very next slide. So why a PhD abroad? Why do you need to come to Europe or USA or Denmark? This picture is here, Denmark, by the way. The first thing that comes to my mind is a better opportunity. Now, what kind of better opportunities? When you come abroad, you meet international people. You can go to international conferences. Okay, you can have a wider collaboration. You can have a better funding. I'll talk about better funding separately as well. What other opportunities can we think of? Also, the reputation. Often, if you have a PhD from abroad, then you are more valued for a job position, okay, in your own country. So these are the opportunities that you get when you start doing a PhD abroad. But of course, there could be many more as well. Okay, you could meet foreigners, for example. I mean, we only see them in movies, so that could also be an opportunity. Secondly, better funding. Okay, I'm not happy about the PhD salary in India, and I'm pretty sure many of the people are not happy. I think nobody is happy about the PhD salary in India. That's a very good reason to come abroad to have a PhD. You also have a better PhD stipend or salary, and you also have a better money for your own research. You have more equipment, you have more money for going for conferences or some summer schools or something. So better funding is definitely another big reason why you should come to abroad. Thirdly, new culture. In this picture, you can see, okay, I'll try to get a pointer. Laser pointer is fine. Yeah, in this picture, you can see this big head guy. This is me. Then this is Shuro, who's a Japanese. Then this is Genie, who's a Chinese. Then this is Mikkel the Great. He's Danish, and also Casper. Casper is Swedish. So you can see 5 countries here. So new culture. When you come for a PhD abroad, you see people from different countries, okay, and taste different food. You can see people talking with different languages, so it's an exposure to new culture, and I think you would really enjoy it if you come for a PhD abroad. The next reason could be a broad network. I think I already mentioned it under the better opportunities, but just to mention again, having a broader network is really important in terms of your research career, in terms of your job job opportunities, okay, in terms of your collaborations, or in fact having a wider perspective on the research itself. If you know 3 researchers, one Russian, one Japanese, and one American, then you can have 3 different perspectives on the research. Okay, so it often makes research more flexible and gives it a different advantage. Having said that, why a PhD abroad? Let's go and talk about how to start preparing for a PhD. So when you decide, okay, maybe I should do a PhD, how do you prepare for it? When you start preparing for a PhD, I think the first thing you should see is on what topic you would like to do a PhD. I mean, whether it's going to be a physics PhD or a chemistry or math or a music or anything. So the first thing is we should figure out which subject, which field, which topic. Then where to do the PhD? Okay, I could do the PhD in my neighboring university, or it could be also a state university or a national university, or it could be America or Europe or Africa or anywhere. So where to do the PhD? Next, what are the application requirements? We know, I mean, even in India, you have to write a NET exam or a GATE exam or a JRF or blah blah, and then you have to do interview and then get selected and so on and so forth, right? So not all the countries follow the same approach. Different countries have different formalities. So you have to look for what are the entrance exams they you have to clear to get into the PhD position there. What is the English criteria? What should be your GPA scores? So on and so forth. So the application requirements. Another most important thing is the funding options. Of course, we want to go to do a PhD, but if I don't get money, then that's a serious problem. We are complaining about the PhD salary in India. Then of course, if we go abroad, we need to have a better funding. I mean, maybe at least it should be enough to survive there. So we also look for funding options and what could be the different funding options, whether it's going to be from the PhD, that PhD program itself, or it's going to be some scholarship from my own country or from some sponsor or something. The next thing is how to find PhD position. So, okay, now I know I have to do a PhD, but how do I search for it? Where are the advertisements? Who would tell me that you should go and a PhD there or here? And lastly, this question often comes to us when when we start up, planning for a PhD. Am I worth doing a PhD? Am I even qualified enough? Do I know enough physics? Do I speak good English? Will I crack an interview? So the question is basically, can I even get a PhD position? All right. So these are few important things that goes into the list when we have to start preparing for a PhD abroad. Moving on to the next point, what it takes, the country specific requirements. So here I have made a small table, but of course this table can be way more longer than it is here. Here you have countries and requirements and the usual PhD duration. So if you go to America, US, especially the North America, it usually requires GRE, then physics GRE, and then IELTS, TOEFL, or any other English exam. So you need a whole bunch of exam, and all these exam costs quite a lot of money. I mean, at least 15,000 for all of them. So you could imagine expense of 50,000 for finishing all these requirements for US applications. The usual PhD duration is 4 to 6 years in US, and depending upon how good you are, how your supervisor wants you to finish your PhD and so on. In UK, GRE and physics GREs are not required, but they often demand English proficiency exams, so IELTS and TOEFL. But in some cases, you may also get an exemption from it. Okay, some universities do that. And the usual PhD duration is 3 to 3.5 years. In other European countries, okay, UK is not a part of European countries as you know. In other European countries, I might, but in other European countries, usually they don't ask for any specific exams. Like in my case, they did not ask for any specific exam. Some university though might ask you for some English proficiency certificate. And this English proficiency certificate could also be from your own university, which shows that you had all your education in English medium only. And then in Europe, it's mostly 3 years, but some countries like Netherlands and also Poland, you have a 4 year PhD. In Singapore, um, some of the Singaporean universities are very good, like NUS, NTU, and they also ask GRE, IELTS, and TOEFL. Okay, there's an I missing here, but I think you would figure that out. And some universities in Singapore also consider GATE exam. Okay, and the usual PhD duration is 4 to 6 years. Again, Singapore pretty much follows the US approach. All right, moving on. How to find a PhD position? I think this slide is one of the most important slides here because I cared a lot about this. So first first thing is it is very easy to find a PhD position if you have already decided the subject or area of research interest. If you already know in which direction you want to do a PhD, then it's easy for you to find a PhD position. And then once you decide the area, let's say nuclear physics, okay, then you would start googling out. As simple as it sounds, you would just google it, but do google it in a structured way, maybe like PhD positions in Australia, PhD positions in America, in maybe PhD position in a particular country, Germany. Okay, so search country wise or university wise or institute wise or in fact research group wise. PhD position in Max Planck Institute of Quantum Optics. You could also search like this. So structure your browsing when you are browsing for finding a PhD position. I also have made some a list of some of the important websites here. So there's this findaphd.com, this positions.dol pages, and then you have a scholarship PDP, then you have this Euraxis, and I have make this Euraxis website in red because I really love this website. This is my favorite website, and you find all the PhD positions in Europe, and my preferred destination is Europe for PhD. Um, then you also have this academic positions.dk. Then you also have this DAD. DAD is for German scholarships, basically. Then you also have this PhD positions.dk. This is mainly for Scandinavian countries. I mean, Denmark, Sweden, and then Finland, all these countries. Also in the Netherlands. Uh, and then these last two links are for PhD positions specific to quantum physics, quantum computing, quantum information. So this is this is also the area in which I work, and I can also suggest more specific PhD positions for more specific websites for quantum physics because I work in quantum physics. Yeah, so these are some of the websites that could be useful, but of course feel free to google out and then discover your own website. Then check the next step is check the research groups of the authors whose papers you read before. So when you do your master thesis or an internship, you read some papers, and then those authors, okay, check for them, check their website, because you are familiar with their work, and your work has kind of advanced their field of research, so it's easier to get a PhD position with them. So look for the PhD positions in their websites. Then ask your profs as well. Ask your professors, your teachers. They can also suggest you about relevant PhD positions. Ask your seniors as well, whether your seniors like me who has gone abroad and maybe you are also doing PhD in India, they can also suggest you. But if you decide to do a PhD in nuclear physics, then talk to a nuclear physics senior. Okay, don't talk to someone who is doing in plasma physics maybe. Yeah, this is a very important advice. Start being active on Twitter and LinkedIn. So take some of your time from Instagram and Facebook and put it on Twitter. I found my PhD from Twitter actually. Okay, and this is super useful to be active on Twitter and LinkedIn. We can discuss about it later. Okay, more important question is what will get you the PhD? What will get you the PhD? Okay, this slide, if you want to remember one thing from this slide, then one thing from this entire presentation, then that is this slide. Okay, so please pay more attention in this. Research experience matters the most, and the best way to show your research experience is through your master thesis. I never knew about this until I came abroad actually, and now I feel so bad that I had a, I mean, not so good master thesis. I could have done it much better. When I see the master thesis of students here, I go crazy. So master thesis matters the most. Also, some other research internships that you can do for a period of 2 months, 3 months. A publication in the relevant field would, of course, work like a key. Okay, if you ask me, Bhaiya, what is a shortcut for getting a PhD? Then I would tell you this thing: get a publication in that field. But of course, that's not a shortcut. I mean that's a pain. If that did not work, if you could not have a good master thesis or good research internship, then go for post MSc research, like I did. I did not have a good master thesis, I think, although my supervisor was a great guy. Um, yeah, then I thought, okay, I need more research experience, and then I went for spending more time after my master's ended. So go for after MSc research experience. And the summary would be, then the closer your research background to the PhD position is, the higher the chances. Okay. If you have done a master thesis in nuclear physics, then it might be hard for you to getting a PhD position in something like mathematical physics, or something like maybe plasma physics or biophysics. Yeah, the next is about coursework. Your coursework in your masters. So of course the grades matter, but I would say on a 10-point scale, 7 plus is a decent score. 8 plus would make you a bit more confident. 9 plus is a bonus. But if you are scattered somewhere around 8, then you are good enough to go for a PhD. If you are at 6, okay, then I would suggest you strongly to work more and more on one specific subject in which you want to do a PhD. Because if your grades are low, then you have to compensate for it by having a good research experience. Okay, so be careful. And regarding the coursework, it's not all the courses that matters. Mostly, it's the courses that is relevant to the subject of PhD is matter. Okay, so pay more attention in those courses. And also some online courses, like they say, massive online open courses these days. MOOCs also are very, very useful. So you can also take some MOOC courses and put it on your CV. And this is something that's often ignored. You might have a very good research experience, you might have a 9.5 GPA, but if you don't make a solid application, then they don't know how good you are. Okay, and then you would lose your chances of getting a PhD abroad. I have seen some friends who were having exceptional background. I mean, high level thinking power, very good knowledge of physics, but this but they struggle to get a PhD position abroad, and maybe because of this reason. There was something wrong with their application. They could not show what they learned, or they could not sell their self, basically. So yeah, the point is, how well you sell yourself matters to a great extent. This goes in all the public speaking, right? How you sell yourself, how you sell your talk, that matters. And you sell yourself through CV and motivational letter, basically. And I would talk exclusively about this in the later slides. And yes, if you can communicate your background and passion to them, then you ace the interview. I think I pretty much reason to my I pretty much uh, got my PhD because of my passion than my background. I did not have a very strong background in physics and in that particular field, but I was very enthusiastic about it, and that's why I got my PhD. So you have to communicate your background and passion to them in as good way as possible. Okay, that brings me down to talk about how to write an effective CV. Effective CV. Um, First thing, look at other people's CV. Then you get to know what to write and what to show off in your CV. Then the next point is keep it real. Don't don't just say I know this, I know that, because there is no point lying here, because you would be caught and then it would be a nightmare. Okay, you would feel very guilty. So keep it real, keep it short. I mean, by masters, I know, I mean, even in other countries, in masters, by masters you cannot accomplish a lot of things that your PhD, your CV would go 5 pages long. Okay, so don't just increase the font size or make it stylish and make it 5 page or 4 page or 2 page. Keep it short, 2 page, and also keep it light. Usually your CV should not exceed a size of 120 kilobytes. Okay, tailor it as per the application. Yes, if you are applying for a research assistant job, or if you are applying for a PhD, or for an internship, then you have to write the application a little different way. And also, if it is a nuclear physics PhD, or if it is a condensed matter physics PhD, then also the CV should be different. Okay, so you have to tailor the CV as per the um, application. Okay, look at what is required in the application for that particular PhD and accordingly make your CV. I mean, you have a template of your own, and then you just keep editing it as per the need of different PhD position. Yes, I would suggest you to use a LaTeX template or a Microsoft Word template, or you can just start from scratching and start drawing tables and lines and build it in MS Office. But LaTeX templates are usually very good. Include relevant sections in your CV. So some sections that are usually put on CV are this. So you first to start with your contact, and then, okay, I'm forgetting to use the pointer. So start with the contact, and then summary and research interest. I mean, just on the top of your CV. Then talk about also education, your bachelor's degree, master's degree, when did you take it, and where from you took it, and also the grades you got. Also mention the key courses. By key courses, I mean, if I have to apply for a PhD in quantum computing, then the key courses I would mention is quantum mechanics 1, quantum mechanics 2, maybe path integrals in quantum mechanics. If I have learned also quantum optics, maybe condensed matter physics. So just some key courses. And yes, then research experience also, of course, but through that only you sell yourself. Skills, publications if you have, scholarships that you achieved, and maybe some other kind of achievements as well. And then also it's a nice idea to mention the names of a couple of referees, the profs who can write recommendation letters for you. But before mentioning their name in your CV, first ask them. Take care of dates. A good way to write a CV is to arrange the dates in reverse chronological order. So uh, the most current information goes to the top, then the little older, then the little older, and so on. Okay, and also don't leave gaps. So if I finished my PhD in 2019 May, unofficially, I mean, officially I got the degree later in October or November, but so if I write in my CV that I finished my MSc in 2019 May, and then I started an internship position in 2019 November, then there is a gap. Okay, so you should usually be careful about these things. You can fill that gap with maybe some internship or something. So just be careful. Highlight keywords and avoid jargon. I mean, we often talk about, for example, if I write in my CV, MSc from IISER Kolkata. Okay, I use this short form IISER Kolkata. Why would you think that a researcher from US university would know IISER full form? Okay, well, they may know, but they also may not know. So using abbreviation and also some complicated words sometimes often becomes more of a confusion in your CV than relevant information. So highlight the keywords, the good words, and then avoid using jargons and unexplained abbreviations. Okay, this point is repeated. Okay, don't repeat the information itself. So if you have already talked that your background is in optics, then you don't need to say it again and again in your CV. So just be careful about it. And last but most important is get feedback from other people. Show your CV to other people and ask them for some feedback. Then they will tell you, okay, maybe you should remove this. They can also give you a good grammar error check. Okay, so it's a good idea to get feedback from other people on your CV. Now let's talk about motivational letter, because something that follows right after CV is the motivational letter. It's also called a statement of purpose. So my first tip would be to start early and prepare yourself for the motivation letter, because it takes quite a lot of time and quite a lot of energy actually. So start preparing early. Look at what is needed for the PhD position, and accordingly you will have to make. So start early. Look at other people's motivational letter again. This is the best way to go about a motivation letter. Read someone else's motivation letter, get some idea what they have written it, how they have tailored it, how they have tried to sell their self, and take inspiration from them. So basically, look at the motivation letter of other people to get the motivation for your own motivation letter. Read carefully about the requirements of PhD position and try understand their recent research papers. This is a very good point to note here. Before writing your motivation letter, have a thorough research about the research group to which you are applying. Okay, look at their recent research work. Try to understand, because then you can connect yourself better when you write in the motivational letter. Structure the body of the motivation letter under the following points. The first point could be your background and training in physics, what you have learned, and of course, everything should suit the application basically. I mean, by background, I should not write, okay, I am good at Indian classical music or something. Okay, so mention that background that's relevant for the position. Your motivation behind that particular field of physics. Okay, of course, you have a motivation for doing a PhD, you have a motivation for doing a PhD abroad, you have a motivation for doing a PhD in physics. But what is the real motivation needed here is your motivation for that particular PhD position. Okay, so write specifically that. Briefly, you can also talk about your motivation behind a PhD abroad and a PhD physics. But yeah, this should be brief. How your training suits the requirement of the PhD. So this point here, how your training is basically comes after you have already spoken about your background and already spoken about your motivation for the that PhD position. Then you can talk about how you suit for that PhD position. So that's where you sell yourself in the motivation letter. You should also talk about what is your expectation from that PhD. Okay, like I expect to meet international people and widen my perspective on physics also. Finally, summarize on why they should hire you. Okay, so once you have written all these things, your motivation, your background, how you are a good, how your skills will be useful in their PhD, what you see you would gain from that PhD, and how that would make a good researcher, how that would make you feel your goal of life. Then you talk. Then you finalize your motivational letter by writing by summarizing about why should they hire you. Okay, so this is basically just this last point is basically just a summary of all the points. Yes, make several drafts. So when you first, I remember for the first time when I sat in front of my table for writing the motivational letter, I could not start for 15-20 minutes. I mean, I was just thinking, what should I write? So just start writing and make several drafts. Just start writing. Maybe on the first day, you would write just 3-4 lines. Come back the next day, again, write. So make several drafts. Okay, write once. First time you write, just try to fill the pages. Try to just address all these points. Um, in a very bad way, let's say. Okay, and then the other day you come and read your motivation letter again. You would make these points a bit better. The next day, again do some more research on that PhD position and read some other CVs, read some other motivation letter, and come back and again write, again edit your motivation letter. So just make several drafts. Again, get feedback from others as well. This and this time it could be your senior PhDs and also professors. Professors give very good advice on writing a motivation letter. So do go to them for getting a motivation letter verified. Okay. Yes, I think I addressed all the tips in the motivation letter, but of course we can talk about it later. Okay. My favorite slide from this presentation is this. If I can go back to my masters, then what I would like to do. So this is the advice to the younger me, and I believe this would be the advice to you. Um, First thing, sooner decide your love. And now you would give me the Bollywood logic that love is not something that you decide. It's something that comes naturally. Okay, in the movie's dialogue. But then, yeah, the same applies in physics as well. You automatically start developing an interest, developing a passion, developing, I mean, here, the love towards one particular subject. And the sooner you decide it, the better it is. So decide your love and maybe plan for marriage. Spend more time learning it than other subjects. Save time from other subjects. So if I have to study quantum physics more and more, then I have to have time as well. I'm a human being. I also need to go chill, go to the DJ party and relax a bit, go to Ropar market and shop something. So I have to save time for learning one subject. So the way I would plan it is I would plan for a score of 9 plus CGPA in quantum physics and stay around 7 in nuclear physics maybe. So that's how I would like to my tailor for my own law of my own subject in which I would like to do a PhD. In my case, it was just opposite. Now I'm doing quantum physics in which I had worst grades. Okay, and in nuclear physics I had 95 grades around 95. Okay, so that was of no use. But in quantum physics I had grades around 65 or 70. So yeah, I mean, you got the point. Learn programming to the best of your ability, to the best possible extent, and this is the most important thing from this slide. And you won't realize the importance of programming until you come to a PhD. So take this advice with all your hands and start learning programming right away. Now, if you ask me which language would be useful, it could be Python or MATLAB. Python and MATLAB are usually used by many. Both are high-level languages. You could also learn some low-level languages like C, C++. But if you are new to programming and if you struggle a bit like me in programming, then maybe you should go with Python and MATLAB. Now, again, to what level of programming you should learn? Okay, of course, you can add or subtract or make a basic plot maybe. Okay, so in this point, I should talk about be very good at plotting. So, from you know, irrespective of you become a theoretician or you become an experimentalist or any kind of researcher, when you write research papers, you are going to show plots. Okay, so be very good at plotting. And I won't suggest you to plot your data in Excel sheet. Okay, I would suggest you to plot in MATLAB or Python and make very nice plots. This would be useful forever your career. Okay, so be very good at plotting. So when you go to electronics lab or optics lab or anywhere, just start plotting in your MATLAB and Python code. Okay, and also for theory people, if you write an equation, then just take different values of x and y and make a nice plot how that equation behaves in your MATLAB or Python code. Okay, coming back to this question, what level of programming you should learn. So you could just maybe solve some differential equations in a code or something, but I would suggest you to learn to an extent of object-oriented programming. Object-oriented program is where you talk about classes and instances and methods and blah blah. So you could Google about it more. So object-oriented programming is kind of the real programming, so that when you work in a lab, you could program a particular instrument. Okay, you could program a particular detector or something. So learn learn a good deal of programming basically. A very useful tool these days is machine learning, unbeatable. Many physicists and mathematicians, of course, and also chemists. Recently, my neighbor is a biology guy, and I asked him, "Do you know machine learning?" And he told me, "Yes, I used it for my chemistry project. If I had not used it, then I had to go to lab and perform experiments for 8 months in the lab. But after learning machine learning, I did not have to go to lab, and I just spent 3 months and I got a paper." So machine learning is super useful in research. So my strong advice to the younger me and the you would be to learn machine learning. It is ubiquitous. It is everywhere. Okay, machine learning, neural networks, and trust me, if you can learn physics, this is nothing. Okay, this is just some basic maths. No, I should not say like just some basic maths. It also has its own complexity, but we don't need to publish papers in machine learning. We just need to learn it to use in our field. So learn machine learning. Yes, learn latex. I learned latex after my master's, but I remember I had a maths teacher in my bachelor's, and the first year of my BSc, she told us to write the calculus assignment in LaTeX, and we just made laugh of her. Come on, what this lady is saying and blah blah. 5 years down the line, after my master's only, I learned LaTeX. So, and here when I do teaching assistantship, my students, they wrote their BSc assignments, okay, on LaTeX. So, I mean, I kind of felt bad. I would strongly suggest you to learn LaTeX, and it's very easy. It's very easy. And you should start writing your reports and assignments on LaTeX now. Okay. Do not just do the copy paste. You get the tutorials. I believe you still get the tutorial sheets from the instructors. So next time onwards, you write your try to write your reports and assignments on LaTeX. Yeah, in the starting days you will be slow, but this is a super useful skill. Yes, take labs seriously. This is the funniest part of my life. I was always bad at experiments. Yes, always somehow to pass the exam. Also in my masters, I was not good in lab. If you talk to my friends, they would tell you my stories. I mean, the way I kind of passed. Um, Electronics, optics, detectors, spectroscopy. I mean, I just perform the experiment, but not with the zeal and trying to understand deeply what's going inside. But that is very important. And ironically, now I'm doing an experimental PhD. I'm in a group and we are trying to make a quantum computer, and everything goes to it. Lot of electronics, lot of optics, lot of detectors, and all these are just your physics training. So take lab seriously. It's okay to get a 6.5 CGPA, but it's not okay to not have a good understanding of optical alignments on the optical table and how a detector works, how to plot the spectrum, all these things. So take labs very seriously. Doesn't matter if you want to be theory or experiment. Okay, it's even if you want to be a theory guy, having a good taste of experiment would make you propose better theory later. You know, so programming. So yeah, just to Um, yeah, my last point here is spend more time doing research than on courses. Research projects matter way more than you can think of, or at least I was thinking of in my master's. So maybe what I would do, I would try to stay between 6.5 grade for 2 subjects and rather pick a research project in that semester. And I know in MSc curriculum, you don't get a chance for research project until unless you come to your final semester. But just talk to some prof and start working on projects. Okay, start working on research projects. So if I could go to my masters again, then I would do more research projects. Then I have taken the courses seriously. Okay. So yeah, these are the advices. And if if I could have all these skills, okay, if I could have all these skills in my masters, then I would maybe apply straight to Oxford or Cambridge. Okay, so these are the skills that matter the most. It's not a heavy knowledge of classical mechanics, how you calculate Lagrangians for double pendulum. It's okay if you don't understand normal modes. It's also okay if you don't understand the transitions between the energy levels, the selection rules. But it's not okay if you don't understand programming. It's not okay if you don't understand how detectors work, and this basic attitude of physics. So it's more important to have this basic attitude of a physics than to have a specific knowledge of a subject. The specific knowledge of a subject you can learn anytime. If I sit now, I start reading about Lagrangian dynamics. I believe in 1 week I can write the Lagrangian equation for many systems. Okay, so all these things are learnable, but this programming skill and these detectives and all these practical skills, it takes some time to be developed in your personality. So I would strongly suggest you to, and the younger me, to um be good at these skills. I'm trying to learn all the skills. So yeah, this is the advice from me to the younger me. And yes, improve your English and communication skills. If I go back to my master, then I would try to do more presentations. Okay, then writing reports. So start speaking in English. Of course, हिंदी में ज्यादा ही मजा आता है, शेरो शायरियां बोल पाते हैं, everything. But I wish I could write my PhD with Hindi shairis. I would love to do that. So I mean, it's important. We know we have to, if we have to go abroad, then we have to communicate in English. So improve your English and improve your communication skills. You don't need to be very good at English to be a good communicator. Okay, so improving these two things, English and your communication skills are also very important during your masters. And yes, that brings me to the end of the presentation. Thank you very much for being such a patient listener, and for listening to me and not asking questions. No, I would take your questions now. I would like to show you some of my memories. So you see the shortest guy here in this picture is me. This picture was when my classmates gave me farewell when I was leaving IIT Ropar, because I was the class representative, and I did a lot for my classmates. I mean, I also enjoyed it. So this was from the farewell from my own classmates. Then maybe some of the faces you could recognize. I don't know if you know Mrityunjay, Manish, and they are they are our juniors. So you could see a mixture of people here. This is in the, what do you call it, this hall. I forgot the name of this hall. Anyway, where we used to organize functions and stuff. And then this is a picture from our graduation day. um we fortunately we got the chance to do it offline, I mean live, physically. So yeah, and of course there are many more photos that I would love to put it here, but yes, that's how it goes. And I miss IIT Ropar a lot. I miss my juniors, I miss my classmates. I had a great time with my juniors as well. Yes, so I would stop talking now and let's interact. So yes, now you guys can start speaking and I could listen
Thank
more.
you, sir. That was a wonderful presentation and not hard to sit through. But yeah, since there are only 20 people around in the chat, instead of picking up questions and reading them for you, I'd request people to come up and speak for themselves. That will be better. No, you'll have a one-on-one interaction.
Yes, I would rather enjoy that. And
So if
I don't think I.
anybody
Hmm.
volunteers for that,
Hello. Hello.
right?
Yes.
Who's this? Hi, Barik. Yeah,
Hi,
proceed,
hi,
Barik.
Bhaiya. I'm Sachin. So maybe Bhaiya know me. So my question is, am I audible?
Yes, that's your question. Yes.
Okay, okay. So my question is like, Bhaiya, you are now doing your PhD in some experimental area, so basically quantum computing, but you did not have, as I see, like in IIT Ropar, we don't have such experimental facility related to quantum computation. So would it did you face any like situation like where you felt like you wish like I would have that, then I would have, but I could apply somewhere at some better places. So that I want to know, like experimental stuff. If you want to apply some experimental PhD, so does that matter having some experimental background in that area?
Thank you, Sasrin, for this nice question. This is a very important question, actually. And to start with answering this, yes, I struggle. I never had the experimental background, like I told. So it really matters to have the experimental background. I had some theoretical background. So after my master's, I went to IISER and also Professor Anirban Pathak, and worked some theory with them. So I got some theoretical background of quantum computing. Okay. Um, but yes, I very badly needed experimental exposure. I wrote to 10, 15 profs in India, but nobody responded me. And also you don't have a lot of experimental quantum computing in India. Very few people, and I don't know why they don't respond. I have a frustration from my side as well. Someday I would become professor and then write to them, I feel. Anyway, so it matters a lot, experimental exposure. So I would strongly suggest you to spend time learning that before coming to PhD. It's okay to take a 1 year gap after your PhD, and and that feeling hits me every day. Okay, that I am not good at electronics. If I have to build a detector, I eventually do that. But if I had the background, I would take very less amount of time. So learn and learn before coming to PhD. Don't think we get to the PhD and don't learn. Yeah, when you get to the PhD, you learn, but these basic things. Okay, because when you come here and see the MSc students, they know way more than what we know. So it feels like हम तो बस इस बड़े ब्रह्मांड में धूल बराबर हैं. Okay, so it matters a lot. Learn and have the background before coming to an experimental field, especially.
Okay. And sir, how much expertise they are expecting in terms of programming? Like you said about two three things like Python, MATLAB, and this machine learning. So do we excel in one language only and just have some little bit some hands-on on other languages? So or do we have equal level of expertise in all that? So
Um, it actually depends upon the PhD position. They often specify, and you can also get an idea from the PhD project. But uh, like I mentioned, having a knowledge up to object-oriented programming, where you can define your own classes, own functions, make a kind of a interface for an object that you use in lab. This level of program is good. You would often use programming for simulations and data analysis. Experimentalists use programming for data analysis. I do a lot of data analysis, but now I am doing some theory work as well when I have to simulate. So when I have to simulate, I have to be very good at coding. So theoreticians use simulations a lot, and experimentalists use data analysis a lot. And both of these things can be done using Python, MATLAB, and So the level of programming could be up to an extent where you can read and analyze data. So maybe NumPy. I know only about Python. I never learned C and C++. I'm a very good programmer. NumPy libraries like NumPy, SciPy, and Panda in Python are good. NumPy especially. Okay, so yeah, and maybe you could also specifically write to the supervisor of the PhD position and ask them directly. Okay, what level of programming you need.
And one thing I just want to know, like in India, I usually hear like people finish their PhDs around at minimum 5 years or 5 to 6 years. But abroad, as you said, as you showed in one slide, so it goes around 3 to 4 years, or at max we can say 5 years. So how this difference is coming up? And as I know, like they are publishing at good journals too, or in abroad, and as compared to here in India. So like I just want I am not able to understand it, or somehow we spend more time in the research over here. Still, we are doing some normal things and not of that quality as compared to them. And
This is
still
a mm, this is
they are
a
finishing
very
their.
this is yeah, this is a very good question, Sachlin, and this is indeed the question that motivates people like me and many others to go abroad and pursue a PhD there in India. But this is more of a controversial question as well, So I don't think it's a good platform to discuss everything here, but it's more of the research culture. Okay, it's more of the research culture. I could maybe write you the answer on WhatsApp, but it's more
Okay,
of the
sure,
research cultures are different. Yeah.
sure, sure. That's from my side.
Thank you for the questions.
Hello, sir. I hope
Hey,
my voice is audible clearly.
yes.
Yes, sir. My name is Chetan Gupta, and I've just started my final year of my master's. So currently, I do not have any research paper or any project to show for. So when should I start applying for a PhD?
Um. Yeah. Again, good question. This was the same question I was asking myself when I was in my last semester of the masters. Um, I would suggest you start looking for the PhD positions, see what are the requirements they demand, okay, and then take time to develop those requirements in yourself. So if you are targeting, let's say, any particular field, let's say real analysis in mathematics, let's say, okay, so see what are the usual real analysis PhD demands, what kind of coursework, and then I would suggest you to spend some time even after masters. Okay, it's not important to get a PhD right after your MSc. I know you have to earn. Okay, you are already 23 years and your parents might not feel like supporting you, I know, but take just some little time more, okay, to have that training. So after masters, go and spend some time doing research in that particular field, then only start for applying PhD. But it's a good idea to look for the positions and know the requirements.
Okay, so another question is like currently I'm exploring my interest whether to go for a job or for higher studies. So obviously the money is a very great factor to pursue any interest.
Yeah.
So if you do not mind answering, are you able to save enough for yourself and also cover your expenditures living in Denmark at the same time?
Yes, I think I should have put this thing into the slides as well about the salaries of PhDs. So in Europe, the salary is very good. In US, the salary is good, but you cannot save a lot in US. Okay, and if you ask me the exact amount, it's around $28,000. Just make the conversion, $28,000 per year around in US. Okay, in Europe, you would get a monthly salary of somewhere between 1,500 euro to 2,800 euro. Again, make the conversion. I'm just talking about different numbers here. 2008, I mean, around 3,000 euro would correspond to somewhere like 2,80,000 around. Okay. So the point is, yes, you can save a lot deal of money. Okay. And That's one of the motivation to come to a country like Denmark or Switzerland. You get a whole lot of money. Okay, मैं बोलूंगा तो बढ़ावा हो जाएगा, otherwise I would like to tell, but you get a lot of money, so it's a very good motivation for PhD. But of course, at one point in your PhD, you would feel, ah, PhD is bullshit. Let me not continue. A lot of pressure, and then money कुछ नहीं फर्क पड़ता, you know. But yes, if you have a strong heart, if you have a strong desire to pursue a PhD, then come for a good money wala PhD.
Well, thank you, sir, for this answer. And just one last question. Uh, Actually, in the middle of your presentation, you mentioned somewhere that I prefer European countries over US countries for PhD. So
Yeah.
why is it so?
Yes. Good question, Jason. That's just a personal choice. I find Europeans a bit more cool. Okay, it's easy to mingle around with people from many countries. Okay, I mean, if you go to US, you would see Americans, वहाँ के जो native people, Americans, and then maybe some international. But in Europe, you see many countries. So I feel Europe a bit more international. Also, salary, okay, and freedom. In US, it's you are treated like a graduate student, and more tight. I like freedom, and in Europe, it's more freedom. You could also roam around with one visa to different countries. Okay, and yes, I mean, I would prefer a life here than in US. मुझे ज़्यादा बड़े buildings. I don't like seeing big buildings and Wall Street and New York stock market and all. So yeah, I mean that's why I said Europe.
Thank you, sir. That's all from my side.
Yeah.
Sir, one thing, like, how was your, sir, PhD interview? So how did it went? What sort of questions did your supervisor or prospective supervisor ask? And frankly, how many interviews did you like appear for, or just for the first interview cracked? You got your PhD.
Yeah. Yeah, I should. I think I should have made a slide on interviews as well. But to answer your question, I gave two interviews. The second one is this, where I selected. The first interview I gave was for IBM quantum computing, but I had no experimental background, and that's the reason they did not take me. And yeah, so I went for two PhD interviews. What they ask you? Firstly, they would ask you a lot on your master thesis. So they would try to see how well do you understand what you have done. If you don't understand your own work, forget about understanding their work and continuing the PhD, right? So that's what they will ask you. So be very good with your things that you have learned. Secondly, they will ask you about your skills that will be relevant to them, and your knowledge, your background in that particular field that matters to them. They'll ask questions on that. Then they'll ask you questions, some kind of maybe tricky questions, like how would you manage with the pressure and with an international environment. They would also check your communication skill. How well do you deliver your science or your research to them? How well you show your passion. So yes, but it's a little different from your corporate interview. In corporate interview, they also ask you about salary and salary negotiations and stuff. But here, no. So firstly be very good at presenting your own research. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello. Hello. Yeah, this is Lavlesh. I wanted to ask the funding which we get during PhD,
Uh-huh.
what it includes, like the visa process and the traveling cost, everything. Is it
Um, it,
covered?
mm, it's usually not covered. It actually depends upon the PhD position depends upon the research group, and very importantly depend upon your PhD supervisor. In my case, again, I should not sound like boasting, but in my case, I came up with business class ticket. Okay, मैं कभी नहीं उड़ा था business class flight ticket में, but it was COVID time and I could, and fortunately my university paid for it. My research group paid for it, so they paid for around 1 lakh money, 1,20,000 money just for my travel expense. So it depends upon your research group and supervisor. Okay, some cases they also pay money for your visa and travel, but in some cases not. So usually take it as a not. Okay, but it is worth. So कहीं से पैसा जुगाड़ करके manage for the first month's living expense. Okay, first month's living expense and travel expense, like maybe 2 lakhs or something, and later you would get the money and you can pay them back. So yes, I'm sorry to say, but पहले महीने का खर्चा खुद के जेब से ही भरना पड़ता है, and I think that's the way it is.
Sometimes the countries demand for guarantee money that is for 1 year.
In PhD, no, because they give you the salary, so they know that you would get the money every month. So in PhD, they don't ask you for that.
So in that case, we don't need for the visa process the 1
No.
year requirement. Okay.
No. It's only in case of masters and bachelors. So in PhD, you don't need it. Because you get a contract, you got an employment contract, right? So it makes sense.
So it's just the cost of visa process and the accommodation for 1 month.
Yes, first month, and your travel and visa, all this thing you arrange by yourself.
This will sum
If
up
you're
to,
lucky, you get this compensated later, but usually not.
so it will be approximately up to 3
Oh, sorry?
lakh, approximately up to 3 lakh or 5 lakh.
Again, depends upon which country. If you are coming to Switzerland, then visa plus first month's living, I would suggest you to keep around 2.5,
Okay.
3 lakhs. Okay. If it is Spain, then maybe 1,50,000 is sufficient. Okay, for travel, visa, and first month's stay. So it depends upon the country. But plan, I know in my case also I did not have money, but I did 3 months of PhD in India, and when I was in India I got salaries in lakhs, so it was crazy. But yes, I understand
COVID.
it's very difficult. So start, that's why I say start preparing early, and take time. Jaruri nahi hai ki you have to get a PhD right after your masters. Take time. Yeah.
Okay.
Sir,
Anybody,
I have
yeah,
a question.
if anybody is not asking me question because of language problem, that then please know that मैं हिंदी में भी बात कर सकता हूँ, so please ask questions.
सचिन जी आप कुछ कह रहे थे शायद.
okay, sir, I want to know, like, we apply that when we are looking for research group, like we are applying for PhD position for several research groups. So should we consider some points like looking, should we watch over their profile and make some how they are publishing in the latest years, or how old the professor is, or how big group he has, or how many collaborations he has. So what sort of points should we consider primarily considering about the quality of a research group, then apply to it, and which research groups we should directly avoid, or we should not consider them, rather if they are. Oh, hello.
Yeah, I'm listening to you.
So I find like I have seen a research group like it is doing some good some work related to the field of my interest, but now I have some other group too. So how should I make a distinction which is a good one, or which should I avoid completely? That's my
Yeah,
question.
this is a good question. Yeah, this is a good question, Sachin. I mean, if you have two groups, and you have to decide which group it is. So there are two things here. One, that would make you a good researcher. Second, that would give you a 3 or 4 years of good life. Okay. If I have a very good supervisor, but not a very good country, I think I would go, or maybe not. I think I would go still, because if I just want to learn and do not care a lot about my life, then I would go. But if you also want to, I mean, if you are a person who is more into people, who likes partying and all, then you would like to have a research group, where people are from different countries, which is a good country itself. So it's a personal choice, and there is a trade-off. ये ज्यादा होगा तो वो कम होगा, वो ज्यादा होगा तो वो कम होगा. And then you have to decide, okay? But the thing is, you also have to see if you are going to a very, very famous researcher just by his brand name. Let's say you go to Peter Higgs group, okay? I'm pretty sure you won't get time from him, even though he would be your supervisor on paper, but the amount of discussion, the amount of supervision you would get very less. So it's often that young researchers and young profs they can spend more time. So you can decide on this kind of factors.
Okay. So young people are always better, right?
Yeah, but I would just like to add one thing. Before we see whether I should go to Professor A or whether I should go to Professor B, the more important is, am I qualified enough? So I would suggest spend more time on making ourselves more and more, qualified for those positions, and then reach to a position where you can get into 3 PhD positions. Nobody would tell you a no. So खुद का मतलब रिसर्च प्रोफाइल उतना बड़ा बनाना पहले ज्यादा जरूरी है, rather than start just
Yes.
thinking of, okay, this professor,
Yes.
that professor.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a must.
Yeah, I have few questions.
Okay.
First of all, after your MSc, you did a project with IISER Kolkata. So was it like a JRF project, or you applied to them directly? What was the channels of that project?
Yeah, good question. It was, to the point answer, it was not a GRF position. It was not a GRF position. It was just an email from me to Panigrahi sir, and he never says no to people. He's the best guy in India, one of the best guys in India. So I was lucky, and he accepted me, and then I went there, and then I did some good result. I mean, did some good work, and yeah, that's it.
So it was
But
paid for, the
mm,
6 month intern was paid for.
um, got paid for 2 months. I got paid for 2 months, and I did not care. But I think Panigai sir was giving money to other researchers, so they give. But I would suggest you, if you are applying for internships in India, okay, after your masters, tell them that you are also okay even if they don't give you money, because you would not get position often because of money. In my case, I borrowed money of 1 lakh from my parents. Okay, not from my parents, from my chacha and all. And I took that 1 lakh money, and then I went to 2 places, Noida. I spent 3-4 months in Noida before getting to IIT. Sorry, before getting to IISER Kolkata.
I
Yeah, so in this 8 months, I kind of covered my own expense. But that 1 lakh money, of investment in my own career later fetched me a very good PhD, and now I earn, I mean, better money. So it's
right, right. The next thing is, how do we browse scholarships in different universities? Like, what is the channel? Like, how would our home country support us for matter, or how would their group support us? Like, how do we ask people for scholarships?
um the usual way is just Google it out. In India, for example, if you go to MHRD website, okay, there you would see some Jawaharlal Nehru scholarship and bahut sare aur. Otherwise, when you go to different universities website, you see the PhD scholarships there, and there they mention different possible. For example, a very high-fi scholarship is Gates Cambridge scholarship. If you go to Cambridge University website, then you would see hell lot of scholarships. Okay, so you get to know about the scholarships from their specific websites, and you can also ask the professors directly what could be the funding options. Okay, if not professor, then the secretary of him or her.
So, lastly, you applied to. You said you secured 2 interviews. You applied for 2 interviews. So the channel of application was direct email in both the cases. You email people with your CV and your Like that was the approach.
It's actually different from application to application, position to position. In some case, they just want you to write an email to the supervisor with your CV, motivation letter, and grades. In some cases, you have a particular application document you have to fill, translate your grades, like in my DTU case. Uh, and in some case, you first talk to the supervisor. You just have some conversation about your interest, like in Australia, and then you have a meeting with that supervisor. You together fill the form. Okay, so it's depends from positions to positions, but it is always a good idea to ask with the prof. When you see a advertised position, you ask with the prof about what is the application procedure, and then they will tell you.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Anyone else would like to ask something?
May I ask one last question?
Yes,
Sure,
please.
it could not be last.
Uh, okay. So, like, while completing my first year of masters, I felt
Hmm.
demotivated at many times. It might be because of the work pressure or working or doing my studies from home. So, I would like to ask you personally that did you feel like quitting while doing your PhD? I mean, if you did, then how did you tackle that feeling, or how did you move towards new horizon of motivation?
Yeah, this is a very good question, Chetan. uh, if I don't know if you know him, there was Amar in my junior batch. He would often come to my room and he would ask me the same question. But yeah, this is how it's going, and yes, I have felt it many times, quitting, you know, but I quit just in the night and raise up again in the morning. Okay, and what depresses you is basically the learning environment and you not enjoying what you are doing. I felt jealous of you because you are still in MSc first year. Okay. I wish I could go there, and that too, you are in math. And I would suggest you pick for your interest, pick your own interest. Don't care about the grades. Learn for fun, like machine learning or, some math. Don't care about what profs say. I know some profs in math department, and I mean, I should not say like public platform, but I know. I mean, because of the system, we get demotivated. Okay, and also, some other things happen, maybe a personal life, but you should do this subject. You should be on this field because of your own liking. Okay, so just try to figure out what is going wrong. What is it that demotivate you, and what is it that excite you? Okay, don't care about what demotivates you. It's okay to fail. Okay, and yeah, neighbors would complain, right? Your neighbors would complain and tell your mom, you आपका बेटा fail हो गया है. But अपनी जिंदगी है भाई. Okay, we learn, we grow, we touch the mountains. So just figure out your own interest and उस पे काम करो. If you like real analysis, go for it, man. If you like machine learning, go for linear algebra and machine learning. नहीं फर्क पड़ेगा अगर हम फेल हो जाएंगे एडवांस कैलकुलस में, तो इट्स टोटली फाइन. इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि फेल होना है. Give it some attempt, like a 6 pointer. But yeah, so the answer would be that we all feel it, frustrated and feeling like quitting, but figure out what is the reason of the frustration. You still have something that you really love. Spend more time with it. Just it. Or if you have a girlfriend, talk to her. That's it.
Sir, I cannot express how much your answer has helped me. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I have much more questions than you guys to ask you guys. How is the life at IIT Ropar?
So
But
most of us have not visited only because of this COVID and stuff.
okay, I see. But I'm still waiting for some more questions to answer before I ask.
Hello, sir.
Hi, Avinash.
Yes. So I have a question. I wanted to ask that all in all, we can say that you said that projects have like much values, right? So all in all, can we say that the projects has more precedence over the course grade or anything like that?
Yes.
Also, sir, one more question I wanted to ask, since we are from the batch of 2020, and you know that it's completely online. I personally not traveled to Ropar. Okay, so I wanted to ask that will this factor impact on us getting hired for PhD or something like that?
No. Your questions were so easy to answer. Yes and no. No.
So that's good. Thank you.
Do you know Rishabh Pant, by the way? I'm just kidding.
The cricketer.
Yeah, because you are the first Pant I'm talking to. So
Yes, I know him, sir.
Hi, sir. This is Kiran. First of all, it's a nice presentation. Sir, I would like to ask you, like, how much a job experience would help in getting a PhD in foreign universities?
like I mentioned before, my job experience here, since it is for a PhD, I basically understand research experience. Okay. Other job experience you can also put in your CV, but they usually don't matter. If I worked for a company, I mean, I was selling beers in a supermarket in India, but I mean that if I mentioned that in my CV, that would not be useful for a PhD. So the research experience matters a lot, and I would say maybe around 65-70% research experience and 30% on your subject knowledge, of that particular field. They don't care about other subjects really. I mean, yeah, of course, you should have a good grade. By good grade, I mean a kind of 7 point or something. If you have a poorer grade, then make sure your research experience is more and more. You should have something to compensate for the others. But if you want to get a PhD, okay, if you really want to feel good about some professor responding you, then your CV should show a very good amount of research experience. There is no point writing emails to a lot of professors in your fourth semester without having a good research experience. So I would suggest you, okay, I should answer it this way. If I can go to my master's now, in first semester, I would try to figure out what is the most fascinating area for me. In second semester and third semester, I would like to put put maximum time in those subjects, learning those subjects. And for the fourth semester, I would pick such a field having a very new, fresh research project, you know, so that I already have the background from my first 3 months, sorry, first 3 semesters in that subject field. Okay. And then on fourth semester, I can do excellent research, excellent master thesis. And when I am towards the end of my master thesis, then I'll start looking for a PhD. Okay. So that would be kind of the best use of time. I mean, in my opinion.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for answering.
So, those are not very relevant, but I wanted to ask who was your research supervisor in MSc here?
It was Tyagi sir. I would share this cute moment with Tyagi sir here. So I liked the philosophy of science a lot, and he floated a project between quantum physics and philosophy. It was quantum Geno effect. I think he still floats some project around it. I don't know. But and then when I started working with him, he used to be like, okay, ये नहीं पढ़ना है, ये भी नहीं पढ़ना है, ये भी नहीं पढ़ना है. मैं नहीं चाहता कि तुम इस मैथ में खो जाओ. तुम्हें बस इतना ही पढ़ना है. And I used to feel happy. Okay, I mean, he's cutting down my, time that I have to put it to, and I used to feel happy, and he was very, very cool. Okay, but yes, I could have done much more with him. Quantum zero effect and EPR and all these things are kind of it. So Yeah, but he was also kind of old, and but he still come to labs though. I don't know if he still comes, but those days he used to come to. And yeah, so basically I was just trying to get done with my master thesis, without, rather than working more on it and trying to have something around a publication. So okay, so yeah, good time, but not productive time. But I yes, I had a great time with Tyagi sir. He's one of the best profs I have ever met.
I don't know about that.
Okay, is he not there in IIT Ropar now?
Sir, he's
I don't
retired.
know.
He's
I see.
retired.
Thank you, Utkarsh.
Okay,
I was like looking into the website. Hey, I've never heard of this.
okay,
Very
I see. I would also
He
suggest
just
to read his
took
quantum mechanics book.
elective. Sir,
Mhm.
he just took the last elective on semiconductor physics. That was for
Yes.
our batch. And last year also he didn't float any project. This year he retired after the
I
course.
see. Yeah, I think he made a good decision. I mean, he should have a good time at home rather than coming to IIT paperwork, लोगों का दूसरे लोगों का बहुत लोगों का चेहरा देखो. Why not just enjoy your old days with your kids and grandkids and you know feel happy about life. And also it's COVID times, right? He's old, so
Yes,
but
but one thing that you said, na, that he just provided a little thing to study. That was also true with the course. We were like, course khatam ho gaya, bas. Just 2 or 3 topics, and then not much into detail like the other courses which have huge syllabus. But he taught in a way that it was detailed but small amount of syllabus.
yeah, so the width would have been small and depth would have been long, maybe.
Yes, he
Yeah,
would ask
I can
questions
imagine.
also.
I would recommend you to look at the syllabus of other universities, not Indian universities. Look at the syllabus of MIT. Okay. So, for example, solid state physics. Look at the syllabus of undergrad solid state physics of MIT and make sure तुम अपने मास्टर्स में उतना पढ़ लो कम से कम. अगर चार्ल्स किटल है तो you should know Charles Kittle. If it's Ashcroft Mormon is an undergraduate book, you know. And हम लोगों को PhD में भी नहीं समझ में आता वो.
Yes,
Well, I
I'm
don't
also
do.
doing a project from Ashcroft Mermin also, tide binding. It's on tide binding, and I
Yeah,
have to
tight
go
binding.
to go to back to the book only. Ashcroft only, nothing else like if I have a research paper or something, but to the book itself.
Yeah, I can imagine. But yes, I mean, yeah, as simple as it sounds, you have whole lot of subjects in your masters to study. That's why I keep telling you save time from other subjects. अगर पूरा पढ़ने जाओगे, okay, if you are a genius, you want to, I mean, if you can spend time in every subject, score a 9 plus and learn everything in their textbook for every subject, then it's good. But otherwise, what I would do, I would spend less time in some subjects, more time in some other subjects, picking my interest. Yeah, the difficulty is physics is fun and you would love everything that you learn in a correct way. Particle physics, I mean, बहुत मन करता है पढ़ने का. I mean, you spend like time. But yeah, you have to have a trade-off and you have to spend time accordingly. So learn those subjects very carefully. Yeah, one general suggestion: quantum physics, quantum 1 and quantum 2, भर के पढ़ो. Okay, no matter who teaches it, I would say start learning it from Barton Jubeck on YouTube. Come on, or Balkrishnan sir's lectures on YouTube. Okay, so yeah, and this is the best thing to learn in, I mean, physics. Learn quantum physics and feel like boss. Okay, even if I fail in other subjects, I won't care if I understand. I mean, personally, because I think it forms the basis of many other subjects. I mean, you would do nuclear physics, condensed matter physics. You would learn about superconductivity. It's just the application of quantum physics when you learn about BCS theory and all that. Yeah, so pick some subjects and learn them a lot. It's already evening in India, around 4 maybe, no? 5.
Yes, sir.
It's a
4.
4. It's
4.
4 in India.
Okay, yeah, it's 3.5, yeah, 4. Okay. Now that you guys are kind of not asking questions, I would start asking questions for next few minutes. Okay. So I already got it that you guys are, I think, still in your own home and not at IIT Ropar, right? Yeah, that's sad. I mean, yeah, I could feel the pain. Ropar is an amazing place to be. I always enjoyed going outside, local market. मजा आता था बहुत. And but the courses, the tutorials, everything is still going the same, right? You have classes in the time and okay. Do you know your classmates? Have you met them?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir, we do. We do. I'm sure it's not that good an interactions would have been if we would have met on the campus and all. But yeah, it's still quite good, I'd say. That's my take
Okay.
on it.
Uh-huh. And are people from different parts of India there in your classes?
We have a classmate from South Korea also, apparently.
Okay, great.
And he's here.
I see.
Afternoon, sir.
Ah,
Yeah,
hi.
I'm the one from South Korea. Hello.
Yeah, I go to a Korean street food here. Okay,
That's nice.
and eat what padak. I don't know if it's the real name. They call it padak. But so they sell Japanese or Korean food. Padak and also
Okay.
sushi.
Okay. I'm not getting what padak is actually. I don't know.
Okay,
I'm so
yeah,
sorry.
it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. But yes, I hope you are enjoying there.
So I've never actually been to IIT Ropar, not yet. Okay. So far, I've been staying here only in Korea.
So you are in Korea or you are in India?
I'm in Korea. I spent half my life in India though, but yeah, I'm still I'm in Korea.
Ah, okay. Yes. But yeah, maybe just by talking to your classmates, you can still see India to some extent.
Yeah. Right.
Another question that I would ask you is, no, maybe suggest you rather, when you are writing emails to people, emails to professors, be careful of your words, the way you write it. Don't just start talking about yourself. Hi, I am Subhashish Barik. I have a MSc degree. I do this, I do that, I blah, 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 blah. No, it's not, I mean, you should put something in the email that the prof would feel like answering to. So write a question, what you would need from him, what information do you need from him. Never write an email without a question to a prof. He should know, right, what he should reply on. If you just start talking about this, I want to join your group, full stop, you're sincerely, I mean, you should put some questions there, okay? And maybe most of you do, but still, be more accurate, okay, in the emails. Don't just say, I like current matter physics and I found your group very interesting, I want to do a PhD with you, please tell me how to apply for it. No, I mean, that's not a good approach. I would suggest you to read their research work, try to understand it, okay? And of course, जब तुम उनका research paper पढ़ोगे कुछ समझ में आएगा नहीं. Okay, now I should speak more in English. I knew that there's a non-Indian guy here. So what I was telling, yeah, when you read the research paper, you won't understand shit. Okay, and then that's why I keep telling you, the first semester, second semester, and third semester, it's very important to have the subject knowledge in that field. Okay, so that you can understand some part. At least if you see a chronic penny model kind of equation, you should be able to understand something there, right? So yeah, that's why I tell you to save time. So talk very specifically in the email. Okay, I found the research, the recent research direction of your group very interesting. This paper has this thing, and I found this thing interesting. And talk more specific. Also keep it short. Do not write very long emails. That's a kind of a turn off. I mean, who would feel like reading? And also don't send emails on Friday afternoon, Saturday 3 a.m. Okay. Try to tune the time. We often have this option in email, I think, so that you send it in the Monday morning, 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. Just when the supervisor goes to the office, the first email is yours, right? So yeah, try to put the email in this. And when you are writing to Indian profs, I think I already mentioned, tell them that you don't care even if they don't provide money. I mean, if you are doing a postmaster's research, if you are really worrying about research experience, then you should do that. But apply and write emails to many places. I'm very sorry that this is the situation in India, but yeah, I never found a position for experimental research in India, and it felt so bad. There are some people I really don't like, but I should not take their names here. Everybody is busy in the world, but even to say a capital no, it doesn't take more than a minute. So at least when we become profs or supervisors in our later life, we should be responsible enough to respond at least with just a no to students. Yes. Did you also have some interaction with your other seniors, and how's it? Or you only know your classmates because you have your classes with them?
We had interaction with our seniors. The thing they have heard, they arranged a meeting in the very beginning also for us. And some of us who went to campus have also met them. We had a get together and stuff.
Perfect. But no fresher and farewell business.
Not exactly.
Yeah, we had a lot of fight with this. By fight, I mean arranging for fun. I was going to the profs to ask for money. I was the class representative, and I would go to the professors to ask for money, and then just for giving 500, 1,000 bucks, there would be some drama, blah blah. And anyway, fun moments, all this thing, would be there forever.
I think that's it. Is there anything else that you would like to ask us?
Nothing.
मुझे नहीं दिख रहा है इसका वीडियो है किसी को नहीं दिख रहा
Pragya, can you request for that PPT from sir?
है. Yeah, I already have it. I'll ask for his permission to share. Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
सर में प्रॉब्लम है.
कर तुमको अच्छा प्रॉब्लम है कुछ?
I think it's frozen.
I think there's some network issue. Okay, with this thing. Let's just I don't know. Wait for a minute or so. किसी और को कुछ तो नहीं पूछना है, by the way. We'll try arranging. We'll try sharing the PPT after he permits. Okay.
Okay. I think.
Hey, are you saying something?
Yeah. I don't know, but I'm curious to know how did he manage to, I mean, he did mention there's a difference between what, we know as an MSc student in India, and there's a difference in what they know as an MSc student in Europe. How did he manage to overcome that gap and stuff?
Yeah, I think I think Sir can hear you probably. I don't know if you can speak or what. Sir, can you call Sir on WhatsApp once and check? There's network issue. Okay, he left.
आई एम ऑडिबल? आवाज आ रही है मेरी?
हाँ जी आ रही है, क्या हो गया?
उनका इंटरनेट क्रैश कर गया तो वो नहीं मतलब कनेक्ट कर पा रहे, तो मैंने उनसे पूछा सेशन एंड करना, तो उन्होंने बोला हाँ कर दो।
क्या करना? हाँ हम सेशन एंड कर देते हैं. Lee, तुम्हारा question will ask him, okay, and we'll let you know. And also we let the PPT if you उसमें उनके contact details हैं, you can ask him, okay?
ओके ठीक है तो.
Oh, thanks.
Okay. Bye bye. Thank you for joining in,
Bye.
Mala.
थैंक यू
Bye.
एवरीवन. बाय.